Hi guys, welcome to Crack It with SRX, episode 80 Karni, and we have with us Umang Dana.
Hi guys,
Hi Umang. So first of all, congratulations on being praised in 80 Karni.
thank you.
So how does it feel to be among the only two people shortlisted from the whole of Delhi University to 80K?
Obviously, it feels great. It gives you a lot of confidence in yourself because you worked hard for something, then you achieve it. So it makes you feel like you can do something and you're capable. And you feel very grateful also because there are a lot of factors which go into it. And basically, a really good feeling.
Okay, so could you tell us more about the placement process, as in what were the steps involved and also the profile that was offered to you?
Okay, so the profile offered to me was business analyst, which is the lowest level of the consulting ladder. And from there on, you begin to move up the chain. So the interview process was, the placement process was that there was one CV shortlist, and then we had a series of interviews. Now, in these firms, they don't have a set number of interviews. They can call you back again if they feel they're not confident, or in certain cases, in 2 interviews, they'll put you through. So I had a total of 4 interviews, and that was the average for people who made it through. But there were people who had 6 and didn't make it through, and people who had 2 and did make it through.
So everybody in SRCC is running after building their CV. So what points according to you should a student consider while preparing their CV?
Okay, and I think this is something which happened in second year for everyone. That suddenly we realize that internships and placements are coming and we need to build up our CV and make it look nice. And I just want to say that the basic mindset towards making a CV, I think tends to go in the wrong direction, which is loaded up with fancy things. And the fancy things I think I see in second year are like financial stuff especially. People are running after, okay, let's learn valuation, let's learn ABC of finance, do some module, so it'll look nice in our CV. But the truth is, if you look at whoever gets a job eventually, and if that's your indicator of success, then fine. Whoever does well eventually, I think they really follow what they're good at and they follow their passion. So even if you look at the shortlist for all the apparently tier 1 top companies, you see people who've been following their passion have made it through, whether it be sport, music, drama, debate, Enactus, social entrepreneurship, they make it through. Because you need to understand there has to be some kind of differentiation as for a lot of other people. So, regarding CV, I want to say a couple of things. Most of us will have the content ready. You will be at some position in some society, and you will have done this exam or that exam. So, the basic skeletal structure will be ready. Now, the 2 things which I think are very important when making your CV is, number 1, differentiation and what kind of content you put on there. Because you've done a lot of things in your life, from school to college and even within college. So if I am a recruiter who's going through your CV or your CV amongst like hundreds, 200s, 500s, because it's a cumulative of all the colleges, not just SRCC they go through. Why would I select your CV, pick one out and say, okay, this girl I want to interview her? And that is something you have to think about carefully. What is your niche? What is your identity which you want to create on that A4 size paper? So it's very important what kind of content you put on it. In some cases, and this you should customize according to companies. In some cases, putting the fact that you're cricket team captain might actually be more helpful than putting the fact that you've completed 2 financial modules. Whereas in some cases it will be the opposite. So that's very important. And in the second case is presentation. And I think this is absolutely crucial because if you go through a lot of CVs, whenever placement season comes, I think the primary differentiating factor does become presentation. How you put it, in what format, in what tables, how you speak about your achievements. For example, you've won an event, right? So you can either say, I won XYZ competition at XYZ college, full stop. Or you can say, I won XYZ competition, which was national level, and I competed against 2,000 participants to get this prize at XYZ college. Basic quantification of your achievements helps them understand who you are and what exactly you've done. Because they don't understand what business conclave is, what dream merger is. These are just competitions at a student level. How will someone at a McKinsey or at a Deutsche Bank understand what they mean unless you quantify it for them? So it's really important to quantify your achievements. Second thing about presentation is the way you complete your sentences, right? You should use action verbs. So again, instead of saying that I led placement cell, or I was part of the placement cell core committee. If you use a word like spearheaded the placement cell initiative, or managed and guided 50 people in the placement cell initiative to do this, that, it makes them get a better idea of what you've done. Because led again is a very ambiguous kind of word, and if you have one sentence to explain to someone what you've done in placement cell, you have 4 or 5 sentences, and you might as well fill them in with words which express a little more, right? So it's very important what kind of words you use. Third thing is the kind of placing you do. So the sentences, a lot of people what they do is they leave it half and they don't complete the entire breadth of your CV. So it's a good idea to frame your words in such a way that you optimize every line, because see, every CV shortlist has different factors. Every company will do it differently, but it just shows a very efficient way of working. Even your CV, you utilize the space very properly. It's better for you, and it shows them also that you've done a really good job. So these are the things I think are important while building a CV.
So it's a known fact that you won a lot of case study competitions in and around college. So for the people who aren't really good at this, what will you suggest? How should they actually prepare for competitions like these?
Okay. So case studies I think are something everyone can do, because they're problems and you have to find your solutions to them, like people who do in the business world. So I don't think this is for any one kind of people. How to prepare for case studies? Well, you should know the basic technicalities of it, like a certain degree of financial understanding of the problem, a certain degree of the different ways of industry analysis, whether it be Porter's analysis or it be a SWOT analysis, or the basic technical things I think you should know if you're looking to actually comprehensively answer these case studies. But primarily I think what you need is a creative drive to these problems. Like that's really it. If you have a passion for these kind of competitions and you want to go ahead and learn something, the primary thing, because these are all things like if you want to, you can learn on Google in a week. There's nothing special about any of these analysis or valuation or anything. It's more about how you approach the entire situation. And say, I think what will again differentiate you from your fellow participants here is how creative you can be with your problem, the way you present it. These kind of the softer skills become important here. So I think for somebody looking to take part in case study competitions, start getting into it actively. And once you've taken part in a couple of case study competitions and you're better with communicating and expressing what you're doing, I think it'll happen on its own.
So not only case study competitions, like in the interviews of the consultancy also, there are case study interviews, like case interview questions.
Yeah.
So how did you prepare for those, like books or websites, or like how should the students?
Okay, so a couple of books I think you should definitely do are there's Victor Cheng's Case Interview Secrets and Mark Centino's Case in Point. So these are like the staple things for preparing for case study interviews, and this is across the world, not just in India. These two books. Apart from that, every college, Wharton, Harvard, Stanford, Kellogg, they all have their own case study clubs which issue books. So you can use those books to help you out. In fact, IIM and IITs also have case study clubs which issue these books. So they're very helpful to go through. While preparing for case studies, also what you can do is do it in a group. So you can like get 4 or 5 of your friends and you guys can form a case study group where you solve it together. The benefit of this is that in case studies it's very important to have an external opinion. Otherwise it can be a very narrow-minded process if you just read and then answer it yourself. But then maybe you could teach me something about my answer where I'm going wrong. So it's important to practice it with people. Ideally do it in a group, because then before placement season most people are looking to prepare and there will be a lot of preparation if you're going to do it seriously. So you should do it in a group and follow those.
Practice is the key there.
Yeah.
Practice is the key there.
Yeah, definitely.
So according to you, should one choose ATK over other consultancies, and why?
Okay. It really depends on what you are looking for in your job. It depends on the profile you're being offered in other consultancies also. So even within consultancies, they might actually give you a consulting profile or a research profile. So it depends. Research will be more analysis oriented and you will be solving the problems in the office, as versus management consulting where you're going to meet your client, asking him what the problem is, and then it's more of a front-end interaction there. So it really depends if you get like a BCG research profile or an 80K management consulting profile, which one would you prefer to do? But on a general thing, if you look at the rankings, McKinsey and BCG are ranked higher, or even Bain & Company for that matter. So if you go by that metric, you should join these companies because they're higher up on the scale. 80K does have a slightly higher compensation to compensate for the fact that it is a little lower on the scale. But it's a different firm, it's more niche, it's smaller, and it's a growing firm. So it's going up the rankings. So you need to maybe look at that also. If a firm is number 1 and it's going down slowly, it's declining, or if a firm is number 7 and it's going up. So just look at where the companies are when they come to college, and on that basis select.
So what after 80K? What are your future plans?
Nobody really knows. The basic few pathways I think I can lay out for how it generally goes is that you work for a couple of years and then do your MBA, because then MBAs in various places now they don't let you apply only if you have without workings.
Yeah.
So that's the conventional path, I would say. If while working you realize you are passionate about something else apart from business administration, if you want to do something in supply management specifically, so maybe that can help you do a master's in something else. So it could be like a pathway to further studies basically, or you could continue working and get into the industry. There are people who don't do their postgrad at all. Or I think a lot of people, the idea now has become to start up or do something of your own, right? So working, especially in a consultancy, it teaches you about a lot of industries. So maybe if some $1 million idea strikes you, then you decide not to go ahead with your MBA and start up immediately. So those are the kind of pathways that can always be subject to individual.
Okay, so last but not the least, your piece of advice for the forthcoming batches.
Okay. The one thing which I want to tell anyone who's sitting for placements is stay positive and don't get into a negative mindset about how did this person get shortlisted and how did I not get shortlisted. It's very, very easy to do, and it's a very negative space to be in. So one thing I would definitely say is that try your best with your CV, make it through the shortlist, and once you're on it, then it's up to you. So stay positive and stay relaxed. It'll happen sometime.
We'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aman,
Thank you.
for being a part of this session.